Hey guys, it's Jeff. Welcome to G Whiskey. This is the channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey. And if you stick around at the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Compass Box Orchard House. Stick around. Alright, so we're looking at a superstar today. This one is the Compass Box Orchard House. And this is a whiskey that's gained a lot of traction over the last, let's say, 2 years, and it's a whiskey that you'll find in a lot of people's cabinets, and that includes enthusiasts. This one is a blended malt, so there's whiskey from several different distilleries in here. It's going to be all malt, all malted barley, no grain, and it's a style of whiskey that's actually been really taking off for the last couple of years, and that's just because single malts are now ridiculously expensive, and blended malts are, I mean, they're still whiskey, they're still expensive, but comparatively much better. Then again, Compass Box does have some pretty pricey whiskeys in their range. Thankfully, this is not one of them. This one is part of their standard core range, I guess you could call it, meaning it's widely available and it's generally quite affordable, which probably explains why this one has something of a, I mean, I don't want to call it cult following, but let's call it a cult following. Now, I first heard about this stuff over on Andy's channel, Malt Box, which is a great whiskey channel, by the way. You should check it out. But he named it his Whiskey of the Year. And I don't know if that's what like triggered the popularity with this stuff or if the ball was already rolling. I'm not sure, but it was around that time that a lot of other enthusiasts were kind of like picking up on this one and ranting and raving and saying it's great. And ever since then, I've wanted to try it. Unfortunately, for the longest time, I could not find a bottle of this stuff here in Taiwan. I did finally manage to snag one only pretty recently, like 2 months ago. So I'm about 2 years late for the party on this one, but whatever. In terms of our blend, in terms of our component malts in this, we've got mostly Clynelish and Linkwood, but we've also got some Ben Rinnes in here. There's a touch of Kalila in here, as well as whiskey from a couple of other undisclosed distilleries as well. In terms of maturation, the vast majority of our casks used for this were bourbon casks, a lot of them first fill. My batch here is from July of 2022, and I guess that's all of our basic information covered. So let's get into the good stuff. Let's jump into the review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. Alright, so we do have some good specs on this one. As is the case with most, but not all Compass Box releases, this one gives us a 46% ABV. It's also non-chill filtered, and our color is natural. Okay, so I love the presentation here. I love most Compass Box presentations. What I like about this brand is they're not going for some flashy decanter style bottle. It's a regular glass bottle, but they spend a lot of time, effort, and presumably some good money as well on paying an artist to create something very eye-catching, unique, creative, what have you. And listen, I love the presentation on brands like Bladnoch or Glenturret. I do like that decanter style of bottle, but it is going to be more expensive to produce. Not only that, it's intended to make the brand look more premium, and therefore we can charge a little bit more. And I just like that they haven't done that here. Normal bottle, very artistic label. I think that's the way to go. I wish more brands did that. Presentation is 5 out of 5. It does say non-chill filtered and natural color. We've got a blurb on the back that's not too indulgent. Talks a little bit about the brand, but it also tells us from where they sourced the whiskey. And of course, Compass Box famously gives us loads of information. If we check out their website, you can download like a spreadsheet and it tells you where they sourced everything and the percentages. So great brand for transparency and great brand for presentation. Wonderful. So right away on the nose, this is one of those bright, clean, fresh whiskeys that you guys know I love. The name definitely suits the whiskey. It's very orchardy. We get apples, we get pears, we get guava, we get citrus. So like lemons, limes, there's also plenty of florals in here. There's some honey, there's a nice maltiness. This is a very inviting and vibrant nose. For our palate and finish, this is nice and mouth coating. I'm initially greeted with some vanilla and some fruit. It's definitely very grassy. I get stuff like honey, green apples, malt, lemons, lemongrass, ginger, white pepper, salt. There is a tiny touch of that waxiness from the Clynelish and some very apparent grassiness from the Linkwood. Medium finish. Alright, so this is good stuff, and it's very much what they say it is. I feel like this whiskey markets itself perfectly. Like if you look at any YouTube video, you read any blog post, you look at the label, you read the name, you'll get the gist of what this whiskey is about. What it is a bright, fresh, fruity summer sipper. And like I know whiskey is a spirit and most people prefer a cold beer on a hot summer's day, but if you're drinking a whiskey on a hot summer's day, make it this one. Actually, here's a video. Make it any one of these 5. But this one is in the top 5. It's as close to refreshing as a whiskey's going to be. Now, this whiskey's not doing anything new. It just delivers on its premise, and it does it with style. Definitely not reinventing the wheel. These flavors and this profile will probably be familiar to you, especially if you have any history with stuff like Glencadam or Arran, or of course, Clynelish and Linkwood. So familiar flavors, yes, but it's quality through and through. This is exactly the kind of whiskey that I would want to drink if I were sat outside, enjoying a dram on my porch on a lazy Sunday afternoon. And I'm actually halfway to achieving that goal. Step 1, buy this bottle. Step 2, buy a porch. Now I admit I don't have too much experience with Compass Box as a brand. I've tried a few others. So I've had the Spice Tree, which I thought was great stuff. I enjoyed it. I've reviewed it here. I had the Spaniard, which I thought was meh. And one that I didn't review, but I did have was the Peat Monster. And that one was not for me. I know it's got its fans, but I didn't really connect with it. And out of all of those, this one is my favorite. In my opinion, it's the best Compass Box that I've tried so far. And the reason for that is that we don't have the big dramatic cask influence that the Spaniard or Spice Tree has. We don't have the peat like Peat Monster. This one is much more straightforward. It's distillate driven, and that's just the kind of whiskey that I enjoy the most these days. So if that sounds like you too, if you like those brighter, fresher, cleaner whiskeys, this one should suit you. For me, this whiskey is actually technically perfect, and usually when I use that term, it's not a compliment, it's not a good thing. And this is because most of the time I gravitate more towards whiskeys that are unique or dirty or funky or characterful. They do their own thing, they go in their own direction. And if you use a term like technically perfect, that implies that maybe it's a little bit boring or a little bit generic. I wouldn't say this is boring or generic, but it's just a very traditional profile. But there is something to be said for sticking to a traditional profile, but doing it right. So my score for this stuff is going to be 86. I think it's a fabulous whiskey, especially right now. I'm shooting this video in mid-June, and it's just the perfect time of year for this kind of whiskey. It is not a whiskey that's going to challenge you. It's not a difficult or weird whiskey, nothing funky or off-putting here. Very straightforward stuff, but it does it well. It hits the spot exactly in the spot where you want to be hit. Nailed that English sentence. Don't even worry about it. So highly recommended if you like bright, fresh, clean profiles. Recommended if you like orchard fruits. If you're a fan of Compass Box and you like what they do, this is one of the better ones. If you are a person who exists in summer and you want a whiskey, highly recommended. This is a good one. All right, so I think our value is pretty good here. It's not entry level. It's like slightly above entry level, at least in my market. What I paid for this, I paid roughly 50 American, just over 50 American, just over 40 pounds. And because it's naturally presented, because it's delicious, I think it's worth every penny. So worth picking up. All right, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, I do have the Patreon. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That's always appreciated. And of course, I do want to hear from you. Have you tried our Orchard House here? Have you tried any of the other Compass Box releases? What Compass Box should I try next? Let me know down below. Finally, down below in the comments, you can also let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.